Hi, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark, and I'm really excited today because I just reached 500 subscribers. And I've been getting a lot of really positive responses to my videos, so I guess I must be doing something right. And I'm really happy about that because I enjoy making these videos and sharing my journey into watchmaking with you. So keep those comments coming. And a huge thank you to all the people who have subscribed. So today I will be continuing with a project that I've been working on for the past few videos. A few months ago, I bought a really cool Waltham pocket watch that I really didn't know too much about. I knew it wasn't running, but I really liked the case back. It showcased an eagle and an American flag, and I thought it was really pretty cool. The movement needed some parts to get it running again. The biggest thing was a new pallet fork jewel. So I got that replaced in my last video, and today I've got the rest of the parts to finish up this project. So here's what I needed. I had to buy a new watch case because unfortunately the movement that came in the Eagle watch was a lever set movement, and the Eagle case was not notched for the lever. It was for a pendant set movement. So here's the new case. And as you can see, here is the cutout for the setting lever. The caseback has a lot of little dents and dings, and I'm going to try to remove or at least lessen how visible they are. I've never done this before, so this will be interesting. The crystal is a little scratched up, but I'm going to try to polish those scratches out with some polywatch. So you're going to want to see how that comes out. I also had to find some hands for this movement, and I think I found a pretty good replacement set. And here's the original dial, which is in really good condition. Now here are the parts that I have to replace. They include the cannon pinion, the hour wheel, and the minute wheel. On the original movement that I affectionately now call the Frankenstein, these parts were not correct and were just stuck onto the center wheel. So these new parts will get the motion works running correctly again. And I also had to source parts for the keyless works, which Frankenstein was lacking. These include the setting lever, the yoke spring, and the yoke spring cover and screw. Now, since the Frankenstein has already been cleaned and lubricated as part of the original service, I will have to clean these parts before I install them. I do that by soaking them in some lighter fluid, which is also known as naphtha. It is pretty effective at cleaning off any dirt and old lubricant, and I just use a small paintbrush to help scrub off any stubborn contamination. Then it's just a matter of using the blower to speed up the drying. Now with all the parts clean, I'm ready to install them, and I'll start with the keyless works. And these parts go underneath the barrel bridge, so I'll start by removing the ratchet wheel. Followed by the crown wheel. Then I can remove the screws that hold the barrel bridge down. And then remove the barrel bridge itself. To do this, I like to pry up on it with a screwdriver from one side and use a piece of pegwood to pry up on the other. Now, most of the time this works really well, but sometimes I just need to finesse it up. Now, it's probably not absolutely necessary, but I will remove the barrel and the sliding clutch and the winding assembly just because they would probably fall out anyway when I turn the movement over to the dial side. I suppose I could have held them in place with some Rodico if I really wanted to. Now, once on the dial side, I can install the actual lever, and that is held in place with a screw. And since there is metal to metal sliding friction with the base plate here, I need to apply some grease. And in this case, I'm using Molykote DX. Extending off the lever is a small staff, and that is where the yoke spring will attach from the other side of the movement. So once I have the movement turned back over, I'll reinstall the winding assembly. And then place some DX grease on the yoke stud before I place the yoke onto it, making sure that the yoke engages with the sliding clutch. Next, I place the yoke spring onto the staff on the lever I mentioned earlier. I use a piece of pegwood to hopefully keep it from flying away. And once I've got it in place, I quickly place this little circular plate over it and screw it down. Now I'll just give it a little test, and yes, it works. So now that I've made this a proper lever set movement again, it's just a matter of putting everything back together. I'll start by replacing the mainspring barrel. And then I can put on the barrel bridge. After I make sure that it's seated correctly, I can replace the screws and tighten them down. Again, I like to use a piece of pegwood just to make sure that the bridge doesn't shift or move while I screw it down. Next is the crown wheel. And if you notice, I've already got the core inside the crown wheel just to save a step. Then the ratchet wheel. And to get it to fit properly, I've got to move the click out of the way. And now that it's back together, I can put it back into the case to give it a little wind. And as you can see, it kicks right up and it's running again. Now, after a little lubrication, I'll put the minute wheel back on, and then the replacement cannon pinion and hour wheel. And those look like they fit much better. Now it's just a matter of putting the dial in place and tightening the dial screws. So before I place the hands, I want to gently clean the dial with just some water and a microfiber towel. This is an enamel dial, and even though they are relatively durable as far as dials go, I still want to be careful because this one is in just such nice condition and it's not hugely dirty. Now with the dial clean, I can set the hands in place. And to do that, I'll use one of my newest tools. This is actually my first time using it. So we'll see how this goes. I'll place the hour hand on first, and it really doesn't matter at this point where it is pointing because it can be adjusted after it is in place. And as you can see here, I adjusted it to the 12 o'clock position. Then I'll place the minute hand, and for that, you want to get it lined up just as closely to 12 as you can so that the hands will line up at the top of each hour. But remember that the watch is running at this point, so the minute hand will move just a bit. Next is the seconds hand, and this hand actually fits onto the pivot of the fourth wheel. It takes me a few tries to steady myself enough, but eventually I get it into place. Okay, so in order to get the full benefit of the clean dial, we need to clean the crystal. And for that, I'm going to use some Polywatch. Polywatch is basically just a plastic polish, so it can be used on acrylic watch crystals, and it does a pretty good job. In an upcoming video, I'm planning on comparing Polywatch with some other plastic polishes to see which is best. Please let me know in the comments below if that's something that interests you or if you have any specific plastic polishes that you'd like me to try out. Okay, so with all of that done, we can turn our attention to the small dents in the back of the case. Since this is made from brass, I know that brass is a relatively soft metal, so I don't have to go crazy with it, or I may risk bending it out of shape to where it won't fit anymore. So I'm just going to use some wooden tools so as to not scratch the gold plating and some slight pressure to try to push the dents out. I also want to keep it on the watch cushion in order to provide a soft backing. This first peg didn't really have much of an effect, so I'm going to try something with a more pointed tip like this golf tee. I'll locate the dent on one side and then try to push it out from the other side. So I spent a little time with this, and for this being my first time trying anything like this, I'm really pretty happy with the results. It's not completely smooth, but I think I made it a little better. So now I just want to try to remove a few of the scratches and polish up the gold plating a bit, but I have to be very careful. It would be very easy to rub right through the plating. So I'm just going to use a little Never Dull and some very light pressure and just rub. Now, I'm not trying to remove any of the deeper scratches because they are deeper than the plating is thick. And the only way to really remove all of those scratches is to completely replate the entire watch case. And I have no idea how to do that at this point. So I'll just settle for this. Now, I'm just using the slightest of pressure just barely running the wadding over the surface. And it does look a little better. So with everything back together and polished up, this is what I got. What do you think? I actually like it. So what about the eagle and the flag case? So since this video is getting a little long already, I think I'll make a part 2 to this video and post it in about a week. I hope you enjoyed seeing this Frankenstein movement get its proper new home, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Don't forget to let me know if you want to see me test out any other plastic polishes on some watch crystals. I'm really interested to see if Polywatch is the best for this. Please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this, and thank you to those who have already subscribed. Again, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe and God bless.